y'all? I am back with another Girl Meets Gold video. It's your founder Mo here, and I cannot wait to dive into one of my personal stories about how I landed my dream job at Nike, literally one of the biggest companies ever. So I'm diving into that, but before I get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when videos drop. And as always, stay to the end for your positive affirmation. Let's go. So let's jump right into it. It is really shocking that I actually used the law of attraction and put it into action. Literally did that. It's so crazy to look back now and be like, yo, that really happened. Like, I really did that. So I want to share with you this story, how I manifested my dream job at Nike, the real Nike, like with the check, like the just do it Nike, like that one. Yeah. So let's jump right into it. So first, I'll say this. Right before I did everything to get the job, I was literally at a crossroads where I was like, okay, I need to pivot somehow. This kind of hand-to-hand styling stuff just wasn't working out the way I really wanted it to. If you're a stylist or if you know a stylist, it's very like client to client. You have to actively seek clients, and you have to just kind of like cater to them, run around all of the city and do what they ask you to do, which can be very tedious, which could be very exhausting, which can be very stressful, especially what I was doing, which was working with like high-level executive women who were, you know what I'm saying, very demanding, very picky, and I just couldn't execute I feel like a lot of my vision in that sense, and I just wanted to change. I had been doing that for years. So I really wanted to change in that field. So I remember saying to myself, like, okay, I really want to elevate and find something that I really want to do. So the first thing I did, I remember, because my boyfriend literally would tell me, write it down. Every time I said I wanted to do something different, he would be like, okay, well, write what you want. So I'm like, okay. I would forget to do that. And then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. But he would always say and be very adamant about writing things down. So that was the first thing I did. I'm like, okay, so I want to change. Let me write what I want down. And I remember writing, okay, I want a high level job at a great company that I really love. And I remember writing something similar like that down, probably a little even more specific than that, but writing that down and just being like, okay, I wrote that down, let me see what happens. And the number one thing in that instance that I did was I let it go. I wasn't like actively like, okay, where's this company at? Okay, like really, you know what I'm saying, rushing around and like trying to really make it happen. Let me find this company. I actually just kind of let it come to me. Like if I happen to look up some stuff, it was always in a positive space. That's what I make sure I really do. And that's what you want to do if you want to manifest something. You want to make sure that when you are being physical about it, that you know, you're doing it after you did some mental work. So I would meditate, do affirmations, and really look at what I really want. And then I would be physical and like look up stuff. So the funny part about this is I literally went on, I don't remember if it was like Indeed or one of those job sites. Now, like I said, the funny part about this is literally I have went on those job sites for years. Ever since I moved into LA, I would literally be on Indeed, all of those sites, and be like, okay, let me try to find a job. I would send, oh my God, it had to be literally like 100, maybe 150 online applications to these random jobs that I thought were like so great, and literally would get nothing back. I would sit there and be like, do people really get hired off these sites? Because I'm not having no luck, okay? Like, no luck on these sites. Nobody would call, nobody would tweet, nobody would DM me, nobody would do nothing, okay? It would be crickets out there for that job. So after a while, I was like, you know what, I'm done. This is not working. But so it had been years since I did all that job hunting. So I think I typed in like fashion styling jobs. And I remember one came up, and it was a Nike job ad, saying they were looking for stylists. They had just opened, you know, a site in LA. They were looking for stylists to join the team. And I remember I was like, Nike? Like, that would literally be a dream job. Working for Nike. Like, I'm the self-proclaimed like Nike queen, Nike dunk queen. If you know me in college, you were like, yo, her Nike game is killing it. I had a new pair of Nikes like every week. I was not playing with my Nike dunks. All the different colorways. I love Nikes. Love Nike dunks. Everybody knew that. Everybody be like, oh, okay. When I had to do, oh, okay. Like, people knew. Okay, I had people buy me Nike dunks because they were like, I just respect your Nike game so much. I'm going to just buy you some. I'm like, okay. Go ahead and take your refund check and buy me whatever you think I need. So I love Nikes, to say the least. And so I saw Nike and I was like, wow. Like, okay, let me just put it out there. Let me just look like all the criteria matches up to the experience that I had, couple years of styling, this, that, and the third. Okay, let me write it all. Let me send an application in. So I sent an application in, and week went by, months went by, and I was like, okay, here we go again. Like, here we go with this site. I'm done this time. Okay, no, I'm really done with these sites. So randomly, like I said, weeks went by, months went by, and then randomly one day, I look at my email, and it's an email from Nike saying, hey, are you still interested in this position? Because it had been some months. So they were like, hey, are you still interested in this position? I was like, wait, is this real? Is this real? Like, I actually had a moment where I didn't even think it was real. So I was like, let me look up this lady who sent me this email. Let me see. I looked her up, and on LinkedIn, all the stuff matched up. Like, oh, okay, this, that, third position. I was like, oh, okay, this is real. That's how big of a moment it was for me that I didn't even think that this was a real email. I was like, this has to be a scam, because this is months later. Now you're hitting me up like, this is some type of scam, but it wasn't. Like I said, everything checked out. So I emailed back like, yes, I'm totally interested in the job. You know, and then she was like, okay, well, let's set up an interview. So they gave me the interview day, told me what I needed to have for the interview and all that stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh, I had an interview. So, the day of the interview, I remember I got up, really excited, obviously, really nervous, got into the car, and I remember I'm like, okay, I need to put all my power into getting this job and putting positive vibes around me. So first, I'm not super nervous and shaking. I can calm myself down. And so I can, like I said, just put positive vibes around it. So the first thing I did was, when I got in the car, I put on some positive tapes. I put on some affirmation tapes. I put on everything that would put me at a high level going into this job. And also, it's kind of like, it's almost an advantage. Everybody's not doing that. You know, everybody's not listening to positive stuff on their rides all over the place, listening to affirmations and putting those extra, you know, almost like non-physical vibes on yourself. You know what I'm saying? So to give me that extra edge, I knew that would be the extra edge into doing a great job at this interview. So rolled all the way down there and was listening to all my positive stuff. And this was the key factor that I did. All that stuff helped. You saw how I got even to the Nike job by writing down first what I wanted. But the second part about securing, actually getting the job, is this next step that I did. And that was right before I pulled into the lot. I pulled off maybe a block before the actual address, and I pulled over and I took my notebook out and I wrote down this simple statement, which was, they will hire me on the spot after the interview. That's what I wrote down. And that was highly ambitious. I was like, okay, what do I really want? I really want this job. I'm going to write down that what they are going to do at the end of this, and that is they will hire me at the end of this job interview. I wrote that down, closed my notebook, went on to the interview. Walking into the building was crazy. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm actually in a Nike building. So that was crazy in itself. And then I went back to the interview, and I went there, and it was 2 people, and we interviewed, and they were like, oh, they were so cool. They were like, okay, they were asking me, you know, typical interview stuff, asking me about your history, why you would be good for the job, all this stuff. So I answered all that stuff great. They were like, ooh, wow, okay. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it seems like everything is going good. But you know, things like that have happened before. If you're in the job interview space, you know, you may get like, ooh, wow, okay, no hair back. Like, you know how it works. So I was just like, okay, it seems like I'm answering well. I'm answering the questions well. And then they actually brought in the head person over the department, and they were like, hey, we want you to meet such and such. And I was like, okay, cool. So like, the new lady came in, she was hella cool, and she was just like, okay, okay, I'm looking over my stuff, asked me a question. She's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, you know, whatever. And then she left, and then they were like, and then they asked maybe a few more questions, and then they looked at them. So I remember they're looking at each other, they're like, okay, and I forgot who it was, but one of them was like, you know what? I think you're perfect for this job. I think you're hired for this job. I was like, I'm sorry, what? what did she say? They literally were like, at that moment, everything looks great. We love your personality. All your answers were great. We want to hire you. We want you for this position. I was like, what? You want to hire me? Like, yes. We'll send you over the paperwork. We start on this date. See you there. I was like, wow, okay. Like, thank you so much. And that is how I landed my job at Nike. Literally. I wrote that down. I said they were going to hire me on the spot. Now, when in the history do they hire you on the spot? You know what I'm saying? Especially a company like that. So I definitely want to encourage you to make sure you do everything that I was saying, which I think worked for me. Affirmations, number 1. Positive things, writing down what you really want in your next adventure of life, in that area. If it was a job, what is the next job? What does that job look like? What is it how is that gonna elevate me from the job I am at now? Also declaring, you know, maybe as you even get closer to that dream thing you really want, also declaring, you know, I will get this, they will do this. Almost like, you know, this is what I want to happen. It's like, say if you want a house, and you may say once it's all done, like, man, I want them to accept my offer, no contingencies, boom. You know, you have to set the intention for what you really want. Be clear, be definite, and then be positive about it. So I hope you enjoy how I manifested my dream job at Nike. Please, please, please do the same as I done so you can see the results for yourself. So with that, the affirmation for today's video is, everything is working out in my favor. Everything is working out in my favor. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. But until then, you got this, girl.